Majina mimi ni Elizabeth Kwamboka Ombane, ama Joseph Emmanuel Ombane.
Joseph Ombani was born in 1990 in a remote village in Kisii County. The doctors present during his birth would identify him as a girl. Those around him also knew him as Elizabeth. After all, he was a young child who did not know so much about his gender.
Kapita mtihani wangu wa darasa la 8, hapo ndipo niliitwa shule ya upili ya wasichana. Lakini kwa sababu sikuwa nimechelewa vizuri, baba mzazi yeye alikuwa anajua ya kwamba kulikuwa na shida, nilikuwa na shida. Kwa hivyo hakukubali niende katika ile shule ya wasichana ambayo nilikuwa nimeitwa.
As the young Ombani would transition from childhood to teenage, things started getting a little bit different. To his surprise, other girls would develop breasts, hips, and other physical female features. He, on the other hand, remained the same.
Yes.
Initially, he thought that he was a late bloomer. Little did he know that he did not belong to that gender.
Wengine wao walikuwa wanaongea juu ya mwisho wa mwezi, maneno ya kuona mwisho wa mwezi, lakini mimi sikuwa naona dalili zozote. Kwa hivyo hapo ndipo nikaanza kuishi ya kwamba sikuwa kama wasichana wengine kwa kijiji.
His peers would not let him be. Day in, day out, they tried their best to find out what was wrong with Ombani. They speculated that something was not adding up.
Wakati mwingi walikuwa wananifuata kwenda kwa joo. Sasa ilifikia mahali nikawacha kwenda chooni wakati tuko na wasichana. Nikitaka kwenda chooni ninaenda saa zile wasichana hawako karibu, wameshaondoka.
He would later be employed as an untrained teacher in a secondary school. Here, the students would identify him as a female teacher, but the parents would not let him be. This saw him leave the village that he called home for many years to seek refuge in the city under the sun. It was here where he found others like him.
So when I was born, when they realized that there was some difference, my grandmother advised the midwives to take me to a medicine man because they had never seen the occurrence that had occurred, because this was a child, a health crying baby child, but between the legs there was something that they could not tell.
James Karanja recalls of the days he would spend time with other children at his grandmother's place. Both his parents had abandoned him, too afraid to raise an intersex child.
In terms of even the roles, maybe she would send me to go and fetch water. Instead of using my back, I would use my shoulder. Instead of going to fetch firewood like other girls, I would carry logs on my shoulder.
Karanja would excel so well in his studies that he became the first girl from his village to go to a boarding school. It was here that he would also become the boy who became the head girl in a girls' school.
The first day I woke up at 2:30 a.m. and took shower. I think it's still instinct. And when everybody woke up at around 5 to 6 a.m., they realized that I had already taken shower. So this girl who was taking care of me asked me, "Hi Mary, what happened that you took shower? Are you the nurse? You know, we have this thing of all of us working together, going to the bathrooms or washing outside the dormitory." So I said, you see me, I thought my watch was telling me it's 4 a.m., though I never had a watch. So I think when everybody woke up, oh my goodness, and they were, naked all over the places, and I realized something somewhere could be amiss with me.
Years later, while in Form 4, teachers in the school discovered a heap of love letters addressed to Karanja. For them, they thought that he was promoting lesbianism in school. Little did they know that he was a man trapped in a girl's body.
When I told one of the teachers what the medical report says, and she advised me, it's either I stay in school, become someone, or leave and become useless. So I opted to stay in school.
He would later sit for his KCSE exams and attain a B grade. Karanja thought that life would be better for him after completing high school, but to no avail. It was during this time that his mother came back home. But it was his change during puberty that made his mother lose her sanity.
My mother now could not handle the pressure of having Waithera becoming again another thing that is not known.
It is the same script for Ryan Muirore, who was born as Ruth Muihaki. He recalls the day that he was stripped naked while a kid, as the children he was playing with laughed at him.
When we argued, we had a fight. That's when they discovered I'm different. He started laughing and looking at me and saying, like, I'm not a girl. I have other genitalias for boys. And I started wondering what they were talking about. That's the time when you like, there is something wrong somewhere.
Ryan abandoned school, but not for too long, as his mother would persuade him to return. Puberty, however, would expose the young man to public ridicule. What hurt him most is the fact that his mother took him to see a doctor who gave him hormone pills to increase his estrogen levels.
At some point, I started realizing now my voice, my deep voice disappeared. Some of now started feeling like somehow garish.
Just like other intersex persons, Muirore faced discrimination from a society that understood very little about intersex persons.
Some groups succeeded to undress me.
Nakumbuka sana kuna wakati ambapo nilipatana na askari mmoja siku nyingine hapa. Alafu huyo askari kulikuwa na shughuli hapo, watu walikuwa sasa ikabidi nikatakikana nipatiane ID. Wakati ambapo nilitoa hiyo kitambulisho changu nikampatia, kitu yenye alifanya alinipiga slap. Wakati alinipiga slap akaniuliza kwa nini nampatia ID ambayo sio yangu. Ni wakati ambapo nilimuelezea nikamwambia iko hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi. Ndio hata yeye akakuja kushangaa, hata akaniomba msamaha, akaniambia ni pole sana kwa vile nimekupiga kwa kutojua.
Relationships too are a hard thing for intersex persons. For Muirore, however, he's now a father of one. Many people, according to him, cannot even attempt to love, and this is why.
And our role, because as per now, I'm not allowed to marry legally because the law still recognize me as Ruth, not as Ryan.
Nilikuwa na msichana nikiwa huko nyumbani kama rafiki yangu na nilimuelezea na yeye alinielewa na akanikubali. Lakini wakati ambapo wazazi wake walisikia eti niko na hiyo shida, kidogo walianza kuleta maneno mingi kidogo.
An intersex person is an individual born with both male and female sex organs in a range of physical conditions. A task force report on policy, legal, institution, and administrative reforms regarding intersex persons in the country, however, recommends for the additional of a third marker on the birth certificate. If made into law, this means that a birth certificate will have an initial F for female, M for male, and I for intersex.
With the ongoing registration systems, how can we ensure that we do not marginalize the intersex persons who may not necessarily have documentation, or some of whom have documents that read ladies, girls, or men or male names, female or male names, whereas their physical manifestation is different. So the need for us to really put in a law, it's only a law that can really help us in that. But for how long should they wait? We are hoping, and we as a commission and within the Implementation Coordination Committee, we are hopeful that probably by the end of the year we should be having some good progress on a policy that will be formulated to address that.
It is not just the right to recognition and proper documentation, however, that intersex persons are looking forward to, with access to government health facilities, among other health-related issues on top of the agenda. But for how long shall intersex persons wait for recognition?
I want to be optimistic that before the end of this parliament, we will have that law. That I don't want to give false hopes. because we are waiting for this to come to the first reading. And I expect, of course, there will be a lot of resistance, because even when I first presented that issue in the National Assembly, the 11th Parliament, there was a lot of resistance. So you must carry the society with you, but we are positive that this will come into force before the end of this Parliament.
Hospitali nyingi mtu anakuangalia tu, ukipatia daktari yeye anaiangalia hivi, halafu akikuangalia anakurudishia, anasema hiyo iwezi ikatumika. Kwa hivyo unatembea tu nayo, lakini hakuna njia anaweza itumia.
Currently, the government is registering people using Huduma number. When you take your child to school, there is NEMIS registration, again requiring you to produce birth certificate, some of which intersex persons don't have. And even if they have, for those who have, then there is a possibility at some point, depending on the transition and the formation of this person, a lot of changes will come in. So there are a bit of progress that we are making. I think the largest progress we made is that we've been able to open up dialogue on the issue of intersex person. Again, moving forward, we are hopeful that at least we will be able to come up with a policy that will then really give direction on actualizing the main gaps that we have in the laws and administrative processes. But stakeholders are really open to the process.
Nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura is also of the opinion that there needs to be a head count on the number of intersex persons in the country. However, until a law that protects the right of intersex persons is formulated, this group of people will for now have to wait a little bit longer to have access to their basic rights, such as the right to access healthcare and recognition.